Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Candice, and today we're going to be talking about God's gift of free will to us. I'm getting a little blasted by the sunlight here, so hopefully I'm not completely blind by the time this video is done. But first, before we get started, let's go ahead and pray for this video, guys, okay? God, thank you so much for another day, for this beautiful sunshine, even though it's scorching me right now. Please help this video help somebody. I ask that you take my mouth and use it to speak your words. I ask that you would meet everybody who's listening to this or watching this wherever they are at, and that you would show them your love and show them through this video what true love is, and that true love only happens if it's given freely, and that's why you gave us free will. I ask all these things in Jesus Christ's name. Alright guys, so today we're talking about God and free will. And this is one of those things where God's really just been speaking to me about this a lot lately. If you've watched my healing testimony video, you'll know why. If you haven't watched that, you can always go back afterwards and watch it. But in it, I talk about how God healed me, but in order for him to heal me, I had to not just ask him to, take the pain away. I had to, mentally lay it down and give it to him, because he will not stamp on our free will. He will not do things while we are still holding them tightly with control. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But in order to do this, we're going to go back to Genesis, okay? And if you read the whole first few chapters of Genesis, it talks about how God made the sky, the waters, the sun, the moon, the stars, the animals. Eventually he made Adam and Eve, and he created humans in his own image and in his own likeness. And he put them up in the Garden of Eden, and in that garden there was one particular tree that God said, don't eat of that tree, because if you do, you will end up dying. And so Adam and Eve are in the garden, chilling out, daily walking with God, basking in his presence and his love. But eventually, if you know the story, eventually they do decide to eat from that tree, and their eyes are opened to sin, and sin enters the world through this. And I've gone back to this, and over the years I've contemplated, God, well, why did you put the tree in the garden? Why did you give them this tree? You could have just, had them in the garden and didn't have the tree, and they would have just been with you and, basked in your presence and just been with you forever, right? And as I was going through this and asking him and talking to him about things like this and contemplating it, he had a little message for me, and as I was journaling it and writing it down, I wrote it down as he gave it to me. Okay guys, so I'm going to just read it, and this is God speaking in this. It's from his point of view, okay? That's how it's written down. So it says, I made your race for my own, in my own image. I loved you so much that I wanted you to have the choice whether or not to return that love. I want you to love me, to choose to be with me. In order for you to have a choice, I also left a way for man to choose not to love me, which would be the tree in the garden, okay? Love is not love when it is forced. It has to be a choice, an act of free will. I will not force myself upon you, but I do freely invite you to come to me, to seek my company, my face, to abide in me, to trust me, my ways, and my judgment. It is always your choice, though. It is your choice whether you want to strive and plan out your life, or to submit all of it to me and trust where I lead you. It is your choice whether you will watch television tonight, or spend that time in my word seeking me. It is your choice to either try and make a relationship or marriage happen on your own terms, or to let me have control over that area of your life so I can give you so I can gift you, with a beautiful union that I've orchestrated. It is your choice whether you will forgive your spouse for saying or doing something that hurt you, or whether you will continue to hold on to the bitterness and the anger. It is always your choice. You choose. As with any choice, there are consequences. Adam and Eve were no longer allowed to eat from the tree of life. And they were also kicked out of the garden. As a side note, sin enter the world, all of that. Check out those first few chapters. Now back to what God was saying. If you choose to strive and plan out your life, the consequence will be a lack of peace and contentment when life throws you curveballs. If you trust me and my plan, and let me guide your steps, the consequences are peace and joy and helping further my kingdom. If you choose to watch television tonight, the consequences might include momentary satisfaction and entertainment, but also dissatisfaction with your own life and circumstances, fear, anxiety, worry, nightmares, or a sour attitude. If you choose to be with me, I will be with you. I choose to love you. I choose to be with you always. I chose to sacrifice my son's life to pay your debt, to wipe away your sins and make you clean, should you choose to accept the cleansing. I chose to create you, even though I knew every choice you would make against me. I chose to make you and love you anyway. I chose you. Will you choose me? And I just thought that was a beautiful thing. Sorry, lighting's horrid right about now. But God gave us the choice because he knows that love isn't love when it's forced. Love isn't love if, we don't have the option to choose not to love. Sorry. And so he gave us that choice, fully knowing, of course, that Adam and Eve were going to eat from the tree of knowledge and that they were going to choose to, disobey him. Like, he knew they were going to do that because he knows everything ahead of time. But he put that tree there still because he wanted them to have the choice. He wants us to have choice. He gifted us with free will. My goodness, my face. Hold on. Anywho, so he gifted us with free will because he wants us to be able to choose whether or not we love him. He wants us to choose, whether or not to trust him. He wants us to be with him because we want to be with him, not because we have to or because we have no other choice or we don't know any better. Like, he wants us to freely give our lives to him. He wants us to freely come to him and be with him. And if you're in a relationship or in a marriage, you know that you can't make somebody love you. God technically could because he can do anything, but he doesn't want to because he knows that if it's something that's forced, it's not going to be real, and it's not going to be genuine. It's not going to be what it should be. And he gave us that free will. So when it comes to things like asking him for help with something or asking him for healing, a lot of the time what I know I find myself doing is being like, hey God, can you just take this from me? Whilst at the same time I'm kind of over here in the background like, okay, I've got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this to try and solve this problem. Like, I'm holding on to control of it over here while asking God to take it from me over here, and God's not going to take something from you when you are still choosing to, try and figure it out yourself and work on it yourself and do all the things yourself. Like, that's, again, going back to the healing video, I asked him time and time again to take the pain from me. And in those moments, he had an abundant amount of mercy, and he did lessen the pain for me in those scenarios. But I had to get to the point where I let go of all the things that I was trying to do to fix the problem. Like, I had to stop striving. I had to stop, trying to control all of the situation and the scenarios and all of the things that went into it beforehand. and I had to actually get down on my knees and go to God, and instead of being like, God, can you take this from me, I had to flip the script and be like, God, here it is, I'm giving it to you, do with it what you will, but I'm asking that you would help me. And that is when God can work. That is when God will work, because let's face it, if we are still attempting to try and control it, then we are making the choice to try and do it ourselves and not to have God do it. And he's not going to stomp on our free will. He's not going to take our choices away from us. We have the choice every day, you know, what we're going to wear, what we're going to do, who we're going to talk to. We have all of these choices, and he gave them to us, and he's not going to take them away from us. He steps in when we give him the right to step in. Like, when we give over whatever it is that's bothering us and be like, okay, God, I am giving this to you so you can handle it, because I cannot do it myself. That is when God does his best work, because he wants us to trust him. Like he said, he wants us to trust his judgment. He wants us to trust that he's going to lead us for our lives and like do good things for us, and like that he's gonna be there every step of the way, no matter where he takes us or who's in our path along the way. Like, he just wants us to have that relationship with him and to love him. And when you love someone, you kind of give up your own things in the path, and you're trying to please that other person. You're trying to make them happy. You're trusting them, you know? Like, you can't love somebody without trusting them. Like, that's the kind of relationship he wants with us. He wants us to do that with him, to give our lives to him, to try and please him, to try and make him happy because we love him, not because we're forced to, or because, you know, we don't know any better, or because we think we have to. He wants us to do it because we want to. And I think that's, like, the key that a lot of people, myself included, I missed it for a long time. Like, I just thought I could ask God, hey, take this from me, and that he would. Like, he's not going to take something from you and, like, negate your free will. The entire point of us being alive is to give us the choice of whether or not to love him and be with him and serve him. And that's where I was going wrong, was I was asking him to negate my free will, which didn't make any sense. When you think about it in retrospect, it didn't make any sense at all. But now that, again, he's taught me and I know better, I know that when there's anything in my life that is bothering me, anything that I am struggling with, anything where if it's a scenario with other people and I'm just like, I don't know how to handle this, whatever it may be, like, if it's a career move, or you're like, oh God, like, I feel like I should move, but I don't know where I'm gonna move, you know, like, whatever it is, he wants us to love him enough, to trust him enough, to lay it down and give it to him and ask him what to do with it. Be like, okay, God, I give you my career. I don't know what you want me to do, or I feel like you're leading me this way, but I need clear guidance from you and I need your help because I don't know how to make this work. God, I am giving my future spouse or my marriage to you because I'm having problems with such and such, or, you know, I'm worrying about it, having anxiety about it. I give it to you and your will be done with it. God, I give my children to you and I need your help figuring out how to raise them, how to bring them up to love you. God, I give you my family. God, I give you my life. Okay? God, I give you my love. Here it is. And I know you'll love me back. I hope this video has blessed you in some way. And if it has, you can always press the like button down below and subscribe. I post videos whenever God leads me to do so. There's no rhyme or reason to the timing of it. It just happens when it happens, guys. Alright, now that the sun is like directly in my eyeballs, I'm gonna let y'all go, and I will see you next time. Bye.